Hello and welcome to the Triple Play, a series where we take a quick look and form a quick first impression on 3 not necessarily related games that you may or may not care about. Today we're going to be taking a look at Streets of Rogue, Has-Been Heroes, and Oxygen Not Included. If you're interested in any of these games in particular, check the description below for a timestamp to that game's section, as well as a link showing you where to buy it. Otherwise, enjoy the show. What happens when society breaks down and chicken nuggets become a prime currency for the black market? Well, Streets of Rogue happens, of course! As you might have expected by the use of the word rogue in the title, this game is a roguelite. You're tasked with wandering the streets of a terrible multi-level dystopian city and accomplishing tasks like killing a dude or stealing from a dude or destroying a dude's power generator. As you cause mayhem and spread dissent among the members of the city, you can find items to help you with various tasks, like a door detonator or a remote hacking tool. You gain experience as you do things in finished quests, which allows you to level up and select one of a few randomly chosen perks to help you out on the next floors. This game is so impressively dynamic, even in its current early access state, that every run feels completely different. You could be playing as a doctor who is a pacifist that is unable to use any weapons but can instantly knock people out by giving them a nice big huff of chloroform. Or you can be a big dumb gorilla and form a gorilla posse and run around punching the life out of anyone who deserves it. Or anyone who doesn't deserve it. You don't know any better, you're a gorilla. There is a large selection of characters and each one plays very differently. Combine that with the game's relatively intelligent AI and you have a game that feels like it has much more content than it currently does. Which really makes me feel like I got my $15 worth with this purchase. It's only going to keep growing from here on as well. Also, you can knock people through walls if you hit them hard enough with a baseball bat, so that instantly makes the game worth your time. It's time for the sister princesses to go to school, so who better to do it than a bunch of old washed-up farts? That's the basic story behind the title Has-Been Heroes, and frankly, that's all you really need. This is another roguelite title, but it plays completely differently than any roguelite you've probably ever seen or played before. Has-Been Heroes is a bit more of a tactical puzzle game with some elements of resource management. If that doesn't make sense, well, I don't blame you, but I'll do my best to explain. From the outset of each map, you'll need to plan your route to get the most that you possibly can out of the area. You'll find merchants to sell your items, spell merchants to sell you the much-needed spells, chests for some freebies, altars to trade a candle for some random reward, among other things. The reason you need to plan your route is because following a path that you've already walked across will require a candle. Occasionally, a crossroads on the map will contain a battle, which is where the real meat of the game lies. You have 3 characters and 3 lanes. Each character and enemy has stamina and health, and other than spells or critical hits, you cannot do damage to an enemy until you get through its stamina first. This is where the tactics, puzzle, and resource management comes in. You need to do your best to use everything that you have available to you at the time as efficiently as possible to clear the waves. Each hit will do 1 stamina point worth of damage, and each character type does a different number of hits on his or her attack. The rogue does 3 hits, the support does 2 hits, and the fighter does 1. So you want to plan your order of operations very carefully. To allow this, you can swap characters' lanes, but only when one is out of position. So you attack with your rogue to go through 3 points of stamina, stunning the monster in the process, then swap the fighter into that lane to do a nice, big hit on the defenseless monster. Being efficient is necessary if you want to survive, because if you match the monster's stamina without going over in a single attack, the monster is stunned and the next attack will do more damage, more knockback, and remove 1 maximum stamina from that monster. On top of that, you have to manage your spells, which range from buffs that can increase the number of attacks and add crit rate, to more traditional spells that do direct damage and sometimes a massive amount of stamina drain. So, manage all that, win the combat, and continue exploring so your next combat will be better. As you play, you'll continue to unlock more and more characters, enemies, items, and possible crossroads, so the game at least makes an effort to keep things interesting and fresh over time. This game isn't for everyone though, and I cannot deny that it isn't a particularly interesting game to watch, but I've been having a blast with it. I got my copy on the Nintendo Switch, which I'm tending to prefer, because the game lends itself well to on-the-go play in spite of how long each run is, but it's available on Steam as well if that's what you prefer. I always find myself playing these sort of games where you indirectly control a small group of people in a desperate need to survive and thrive. These games take a long time to play and plan, and if you do poorly, you can find it all get flushed down the toilet as your colony suffocates because you ran out of algae for your oxygen generator. But that's part of the fun, especially in Oxygen Not Included, because just as the name implies, oxygen is definitely not included. This game is taking complexity to a new level when it comes to colony management, and it's wonderful and compelling and challenging. You have to manage everything here. Oxygen levels, CO2 levels, electricity, all the way down to making sure your power network isn't overloaded, heat so your colonists aren't too hot or cold and your machines don't overheat, plumbing and water pumps, water pollution, air ducts and circulation, air pollution, food, colonist stress, and even the toilets. Yes, you have to manage toilets, so get your plumbing gear out. And if that sounds a little overwhelming, well, it is. It is. It doesn't have a proper tutorial quite yet because it's still in early access, but learning by experimentation seems right at home here, even if I would like a little more information here and there, such as the fact that clean oxygen will naturally rise above CO2 and polluted oxygen. Every few in-game days you'll get access to a new colonist, but choose carefully because you want a strong member who won't stress out easily, but you also have to accommodate their needs just like everyone else. That means more beds, more food, more oxygen, more room, more everything good and bad. And yes, that also means more poop. If you're a fan of this genre, I highly recommend giving it a look or perhaps even putting it on your wish list or watch list so you can keep an eye on its development. There isn't a ton of content yet, and some things seem like they might be in the wrong research tree, and it might be a little bit unbalanced in terms of difficulty here and there, or maybe I'm just bad. But the developers at least have a proven track record with games like Invisible Ink and Don't Starve under their belt, so I have confidence in this title. Alright, well that's gonna have to do it for this triple play. Like I said in the last one, please let me know what you think of this format. I've had people suggest that each video should have all the games be in the same genre, but this series is more meant to bring the First Impressions series into a more bite-sized and concise format to make it hopefully more watchable. An alternative is to keep a similar length of each mini review and make it into its own video, probably 2 to 4 minutes long. If you have any opinions, let me know. And let me know what you thought of any of the games in this video. I play a lot of games because I love to discover new things, and I'm always excited to share these experiences with people and hopefully introduce you to a new game that you might have otherwise not heard of. And as always, don't forget to do all the usual social media stuff. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter @ingeniousclown, and I will see you next time.